Heartland Highways is made possible in part by Consolidated Communications, offering customers high-speed internet, phone service, and digital TV service packages that include high-definition channels, DVR, and hundreds of sports, movies, and music channels. More information on these services available at consolidated.com. Just ahead on Heartland Highways, we take a day trip that includes dinner to an off-the-beaten-track restaurant called the Brown Barn General Store.
Then we'll head to Dana, Indiana for some homemade chocolates at Brooke's Candy Company. See how these family recipes are quickly becoming customer favorites.
Then, just down the street from Brooke's, we'll tour an Indiana State Historic Site, which chronicles the life and times of World War II correspondent Ernie Pyle.
Stay with us, Heartland Highways is coming up next.
Today's show is the first of many from locations on the campus of Eastern Illinois University. And since EIU is our home base, we wanted to share a few of our favorite places with you. And today, it's Booth Library.
Now, we're standing in the original part of the building, constructed in 1950, but the architecture makes it feel a little bit more like a medieval castle from 1450. Actually, there's a duplicate of this very same building on the campus of Northern Illinois University. That's because the buildings were both designed by the state architect at the time.
Now for this week's adventures, which would make a great day trip if you put them all together.
We headed to the country to Chrisman, Illinois for a bite to eat at the Brown Barn General Store.
So it's quite nice to have a hobby that pays for itself. Not very many hobbies do that.
After 44 years of work, Dean Samford knew he'd find it hard to just sit around during his retirement. So he decided to pursue what he deemed a hobby and something he'd been thinking about. Just 3 months into their retirement, Dean and his wife Sharon found themselves running a business next to their home.
I conceived the whole idea of converting this horse barn into a general store. When my wife became involved, it evolved very quickly into a restaurant.
I thought he was crazy because I said, no one's going to come all the way out here for anything. You know, as a general store, you can't compete with other, like the dollar store or Walmart. So I thought, well, if you feed them, they will come, and they do.
So the general store turned into a restaurant, but they still retained the name Brown Barn General Store. Coming up with the old-time decor wasn't much of a task, as Dean had been a collector and pack rat most of his life.
A lot of it I had in my collection. Some of it I have purchased in the last few years, a small percentage of it, and I also have some items in here that some of my good customers bring in and say that I need to place those on a shelf or in the wall, and so it's kind of a combination effort.
The restaurant retains the atmosphere of an old-fashioned general store, right down to the old water bath Coke machine and vintage cash register. You can still purchase some items, but most people come for the food.
My idea of a restaurant was fried bologna and coffee for the locals, and when my wife became involved, it's become quite a draw.
Well, I experimented with panini grilled sandwiches and used family members as guinea pigs to see if they liked it, and they did. And biscuits and gravy, which seems to be the big draw in the morning, and a bacon, egg, cheese, and hash brown croissant for breakfast. And then I have different soups. Today we're having cream of broccoli soup, homemade.
While Sharon and Dean don't consider themselves gourmet chefs, they do seem to have hit upon a menu that people really like, especially on Friday and Saturday nights.
Prime rib on Saturday evening is something that I had fed my family at holidays for about 4 years prior to opening, so I had a little heads up on how to prepare it. And so that's our special for Saturday evening. And then my wife Sharon came up with spaghetti and Parmesan chicken for Friday evening special.
Originally, the Brown Barn was open 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. 5 days a week. Well, that was a little more hectic than they anticipated, so they've trimmed their hours down to 3 days a week and serve by reservation only on Friday and Saturday nights.
We do special gatherings by special arrangement any day of the week, any time, as long as we make the arrangements in advance and the calendar permits. On Friday evening, we need reservations before noon that day. Saturday evening as well, before noon that day. However, there are times where I am booked full and I need reservations maybe a few days ahead of time to give you priority.
With such early success, one might be tempted to expand, but Sharon and Dean want to keep the business manageable. After all, this is their retirement hobby.
It's been quite a gratifying effort because people do come, and they come several miles just to eat here or experience the atmosphere, whichever. I think it goes threefold. I think you have to have a uniqueness about your establishment. You obviously have to have good food. And most of all, I think you need to show your customers a good time. And when people come here, sometimes they may have a reservation at 5 o'clock and they don't leave till maybe 8. And it's fun for everyone, and that's what makes it fun for us.
A lot of very nice customers, very forgiving, you know, just lovely people that we've met, and we really enjoy that. It's a help to us. You know, we don't want to be here all by ourselves and everybody forget us, and now we have a lot of people that come out.
And they're coming from all over to experience this unique place in the country that's a little off the beaten path.
We're approximately 15 miles north and east from Paris, 10 miles from Chrisman, and we have had people here that drove specifically to eat from as far away as Covington, Indiana, Danville, Illinois, Effingham, Illinois, Terre Haute, Indiana, and every place in between. The Paris area has particularly been very supportive in the whole thing.
But if you're prone to getting lost while traveling the countryside, no need to worry. You just need to follow the conveniently placed yellow signs.
I have signs prompting people from 4 different directions, from Paris, from Chrisman, from Dana, Indiana, and from St. Bernice, Indiana. So most people say the signs are very helpful, as well as on our little handout menu, I have directions written as well. It's like having guests as opposed to running a business, and that's the way we try to approach the folks, and it's been very gratifying and very self-satisfying.
Next, we headed over the border to Indiana for a little dessert. The town of Dana may be known for its Ernie Pyle Museum, a place Kate is going to take you to a little bit later. But it's also known as a place to get your chocolate fix at Brooke's Candy Company.
When Donna Thompson set her eyes on this impressive plantation-style home, she fell in love with it right away. But in 1984, the house didn't exactly look as nice as it does today. Broken windows and plumbing were just some of the things that needed to be fixed. Needless to say, the Thompson family moved in and made it their home. Fast forward some 20 years later, and the house, still occupied by Donna and her husband, does double duty as the home of Brooke's Candy Company.
I was wanting something to do that I could still stay home with my kids, but I like to cook, and Mom likes to cook. And I always love sweets, so so I started working on a toffee recipe just to play with and see, what I could come up with. And the more I worked with it, the more I was like, this is good. so I called Mom and I called my sister, and I'm like, oh, we got to sell this, So then we started working out, doing things and getting together and talking about it. And we threw a garage sale. Mom sold a lot of her antiques, and we ended up getting a tempering machine. and we started playing around. Yeah, so from there we just started experimenting. And
so we took the money from the garage sale and bought our first little temper, and it didn't last no time, and we found out we had to have a commercial one.
Yeah, a little bit bigger one, yeah.
So, but anyway, that's how we got started.
Brooke's Toffee proved to be a winner with customers, along with Donna's specialty of fudge. Originally selling their candies out of a restaurant in Clinton, Indiana, and at local festivals, Brooke and Donna decided to open up their own retail shop in the front room of their home.
Yeah, we looked at small towns around, but this town is like lost. So many buildings that we decided to be something positive to bring back to the community. So a lot of the older generation in town just love that we're here now. You know, they come and get their Christmas gifts, or you know, the gifts for all the people, the farmers. You know, they love to get it. So they've been real supportive of us.
When it came time to look for candy display cases for their retail store, Donna didn't have to look far. In fact, this piece is something she's had for 40 years.
It is an actual bar from a bar in Worthington, Indiana. Okay. And in fact, my father-in-law owned the bar. We decided to put it in the house. We couldn't get it in the door. And since we remodeled the back, we couldn't get it in that door. So he had to take this whole big window out here and put it in, and he said, I hope you understand this is not leaving this room. A friend of ours had this case stored in her garage, and it belonged to someone else, and she says, well, I bet you they'd just let you have that. And I refinished that one.
It was green.
And yeah, it was green.
It was green.
So she gave it to me right after, I got it right after Christmas, and I brought it in and put it in the office, stuck it on a desk, and put plastic on the floor and stripped it down right there. Because I was so anxious, because I just love it.
Brooke and Donna make their toffee, fudge, and truffles in a commercial kitchen in the rear of the house.
Look, I looked at like, I'd say 30 different recipes, and then I just fixed it to the way I wanted it. I'd try it, and then I'd try this, and then I'd try that, and I'd change that, and then I'd go to a different temperature. You know, I'd try to make it harder, crunchier. So it took me, what, 6 months before I actually figured out, you know, how I wanted to have it done. And that's how I've done all these recipes. I just make it up in my head.
Well,
and then we have our family try, and they say, no. Right? Yeah, no.
I wouldn't change that.
Right.
Yeah,
or add this, or add that. Yeah, so it's been a family affair, you know, because they're the taste testers, and they tell us, you know, if it's good or bad, or if it should throw it out.
And that's what I did with the fudge. Yeah. I looked up different recipes and all that, and just came up, made myself sick, eating my experiments. Literally, I did.
When it came time to choose a chocolate to coat the toffee and truffles, high-quality Belgian chocolate won out for its smooth and creamy texture. And with no preservatives in the candies or wax in the chocolates, Brooke's is always fresh.
We try to make things weekly, so as one's running down, we make that for that week, you know, and we just keep trading out. And sometimes we have to take stuff out and let the family eat it, so. But, you know, we do, it lasts 2 to 3 weeks. You know, yeah, 2 to 3 weeks. But our toffee lasts like 2 months. I mean, it's our longest lasting. But all the stuff with the chocolate and the cream and all that's 2 to 3 weeks.
Brooke's has made a name for itself for its quality and consistency. But something called the Indiana Artisan Program has helped them with their packaging and marketing.
They're trying to help the rural areas for anybody that can make a handmade product. And then like for food, they have like a chef, they're like marketers, you know, production people, yeah. All different, like 12 different jurors, and then they take your product and they taste it, they look at it, they check the pricing on it, and if the labeling, everything has to be approved by all these people, and then if it is, then you get to carry the Indiana State Artisan symbol. And they also help us by having a trade show in February at the Indianapolis Museum, where they just invite only the people that are in the Indiana Artisan Program, and then they do an invitation for the wholesalers to come in and be able to, you know, pick up our products and all that. So I mean, it's something that helps us, and they do it all for free. You know, the state's helping us to try to build our businesses for Indiana, so it's nice.
In addition to candies, Brooks also makes their own Belgian hot chocolate cocoa mix. They also make custom candies for special occasions like weddings and showers. But most recently, they've added frozen pies, which from personal experience are beyond good. Even though their location is not on a major interstate, their customers seem to have no problem finding them.
You think we're in the worst place, but I think we're in a good place because we're in the middle, you know, and people are willing to
nice
travel for good
country
candy.
drive to,
Yeah.
yeah. And a lot of our customers are retired couples that are just out running around seeing what they could see, you know, in Indiana. So.
As for expansion and the future of the company, one thing is for sure, this mother-daughter duo is sure to have something up their sleeve.
Wherever the Lord takes us, that's about it.
Yeah, she was able to pick up the house next door in a tax sale, so yeah, we have plenty of room to expand.
Some of our favorite adventures were ideas that came from viewers like you. If you think there's a place we should see or a person we should meet, let us know about it. Just make sure it's in the Illinois, Indiana, or Missouri area. Drop us an email at heartlandhighways@weiu.net, call us at 1-877-727-9348, or send us a letter to 600 Lincoln Avenue, Charleston, Illinois, 61920.
Our final stop in Dana was to the Ernie Pyle State Historic Site. Now, you can't miss the site on your way into town, and it's well worth the stop to learn a little bit more about the history surrounding the Pulitzer Prize-winning World War II journalist.
Born in the rural town of Dana, Indiana in 1900 was a man who would grow up with a thirst for adventure. Not one for small-town farm life, it wasn't long before he saw his out and enlisted in the Navy during World War I. Still searching for more action, he turned to studying journalism, setting in motion a journey that would take him around the world and make him a legend. His name was Ernie Pyle. After a short stint at an Indiana newspaper, Pyle was scooped up by the Scripps-Howard chain, where he became a noted columnist and later World War II's most famous war correspondent.
When it comes to Ernie Pyle, he was famous before World War II even began. He was a household name. It was not until the war began and he started covering what was going on with the GIs on the front lines that really sort of solidified him as a legend as far as correspondents are concerned. He was more interested in what was going on the front lines with the individual soldiers. While there'd be journalists who would be back with the generals in the upper brass, he was more interested in telling the stories of the everyday lives of the men who were actually fighting this conflict. And his writing style really suited itself well for that particular topic. It was a very simplistic style, and really what it was he being the voice for the GIs back home, for people, for their families back home on the home front.
And he brought people back home stories from North Africa, Italy, Normandy, and the Pacific Theater, all the while endearing himself to the troops he traveled with. Unfortunately, Pyle didn't see the end of World War II.
On a small island called Iashima, he and basically a convoy of troops, they were relocating a headquarters, and he was with the officer of that particular unit, and a Japanese machine gunner opened up fire on their convoy. The initial shooting didn't cause his death. They all got out of the Jeep and hid in a ditch, but when everybody was kind of looking up to see who was okay and who was there, that's when the machine gunner opened up once again, and then Ernie was killed.
Although his death was taken hard, it wouldn't be long before his efforts were recognized with a place where generations upon generations could come to learn about what made Ernie Pyle a hero to so many.
The State Historic Site was established in 1975 originally with the moving of the main house from outside of town to this location within the city limits. And then in 1995, a visitor center was established, basically for the purpose of honoring Ernie Pyle.
There's plenty to see at the site too. Visitors can get a real sense of Pyle and his writings through interactive displays. Let's take a tour.
Well, when you arrive at the site, when you come in, what you'll see is Lots of interactive materials, a lot of audio materials basically being read to you, basically the Ernie Pyle information. His columns and things are being read to you. But you'll also see some original artifacts that belong to Ernie Pyle himself, a couple of uniforms that he had. If you're familiar with Ernie Pyle, a lot of times when you see photographs of him, he was wearing a small wool cap, and we have that on display as well. But basically, the idea is just to kind of get you in the middle of what Ernie Pyle was trying to convey to the people back home on the home front.
And one way to do that is through the interactive audio displays.
What we have with these different displays, we do have entire articles, but what we have are interactive displays, audio interactive displays that basically read to you a section of his article. And we have three separate displays here. One dealing with when he was with the troops in Italy. It's a dugout scene, basically what they did when they weren't fighting. Another section is when he was in Normandy. He didn't actually land outright on D-Day. He landed a couple days afterwards, and he really got to see the raw aftermath of then what Normandy actually was. And then also we have a small theater devoted to Ernie's, probably his most popular and most well-known article that he wrote. It was about a Captain Henry T. Waskow, and it really brought it home with his style of writing and what it was that he was trying to get across. Just that these are men in a very difficult situation trying to make the best of what they have.
A soldier said, "He always looked after us. He'd go to bat for us every time." Another one said, "I never knew him to do anything unfair."
Another artifact that really gives visitors a glimpse into Ernie's personality is a jacket he wore with an interesting past.
I guess the prized possession that we have is the jacket that he wore when he met with Eleanor Roosevelt, with T. Now the fact that, of course, he would dress nicely to meet with, the First Lady is not uncommon, but the fact that the best jacket that he had was just a wool jacket that had the elbows worn out of it, and we have that jacket then on display here, and that does kind of give you, again, a good idea of just who Ernie was. He was a no-frills individual, and that was also the persona that he wanted to portray to the American public as well.
Thanks to the Indiana State Museum, private donations, and the Scripps Howard Corporation, where Pyle got his start, the persona of the daring and respected Hoosier reporter will live on.
With his writings, again, he was the voice of the common soldier, and so what we have here is just a few snippets of actually what he would do, just kind of give you the general idea. Because he was, the voice. You see, when you come to the side here, you'll see photographs of soldiers and things, and these men now, in these black and white photos, they still have a voice to this day because of Ernie Pyle, and that was his goal in the end, was to be, to kind of be their champion in a way.
Thanks for coming along this week. From Booth Library, I'm Kate.
And I'm Lori. We'll see you again real soon.
Heartland Highways is made possible in part by Consolidated Communications, offering customers high-speed internet, phone service, and digital TV service packages that include high-definition channels, DVR, and hundreds of sports, movies, and music channels. More information on these services available at consolidated.com.
From locations on the campus of Eastern Illinois University. I'm like, bonk, bonk, bonk. For its Ernie Pyle Museum,
Now you can't miss the Ernie Pyle site on your way into town, and it was well worth the stop to see the blah blah blah.
I want to see like the whole room. Even how wide can it go? Okay. Dessert. The town of Dana may be known for its Ernie Pyle Museum
in Dana. Now,
next we headed over the border for a little border where to Mexico. We snuck over the border. Okay.